Ever since I was a kid growing up in Canada, I dreamed of Europe, of cobblestone streets, old world charm, and a life surrounded by kids. I've always had a knack for them, a quiet certainty that my calling was to teach or care for them. So when I stumbled across the chance to be an au pair in France, using my rusty high school French and diving into a family's life, it felt like fate clicking into place. At 24, leaving home wasn't easy. Money was tight, my family couldn't help, a wound too raw to unpack. Expensive agencies were out, so I rolled the dice on a free au pair website. That's where I found Lea. Her ad was warm, her voice kind over choppy video calls, calling me chérie and ma belle, in that motherly French way that made me feel wanted. She needed help with her 2 kids while her husband traveled, and she seemed genuine, asking about my life, my love for kids, though she stayed vague about hers. I asked to meet the children, but there was always an excuse. One was napping, the other at a play date. "You'll see them when you arrive," she promised. It nagged at me, but I trusted her. I signed her agreement, booked a one-way flight, stuffed my life into a suitcase, and hugged Canada goodbye, heart racing with hope. One day, swiping through Tinder, I matched with a girl named Sophie. She was pretty, dark hair, sharp eyes, and our first date at a local restaurant felt like a small victory. I was in my head the whole time, second-guessing every word, convinced she'd see through my clumsy charm and bolt. But that night, as I sprawled out in bed, she texted, "I really like you. Tonight was fun." My heart did a flip. Ecstatic doesn't even cover it. We went on a second date, then a third, a fourth, and soon we were a couple. After years of striking out, I'd hit the jackpot, or so I thought. The honeymoon phase was a blur of giddy texts and stolen glances, but it didn't last. "Where are we going?" I demanded, voice shaking. "A shortcut," she said lightly. "Leah's waiting." Her eyes stayed on the road, smile fixed. I wasn't buying it. "Take me back to the airport," I said louder. Silence. "Now? Or I call the police." She laughed. Actually laughed, telling me to relax, that I was overreacting. My blood ran cold. I knew it then. I was being taken. The next time the car slowed at a turn, I didn't think. I kicked the door open and threw myself onto the pavement, skin scraping asphalt as I rolled. She didn't speed off. She just sat there, staring through the windshield, like I was the crazy one. Phone trembling in my hand, I called my mom, sobbing as I stumbled away. Through the glass, I saw her on her phone, speaking fast. Not French, not English. Something sharp and foreign. Was it Leah? My gut screamed yes. Then came the night that cracked everything open. I was at Jake's, chilling in his basement with him and our friend Mark, beers in hand, laughing at some dumb joke. My phone buzzed. Sophie again, but I muted it, needing a break. Next thing I know, Jake's mom's voice echoes down the stairs. "Someone's here for you." Footsteps thudded closer, and there was Sophie, storming in, her face twisted with fury. "You're goofing off here while I'm texting you about the winery tomorrow?" she yelled, loud enough to make Mark choke on his drink. I stammered, "Can we talk later?" But she wouldn't budge, insisting I leave with her. Humiliated, I apologized to the guys and followed her out. We argued in the street, her wanting to crash at my place, me saying no. I drove home alone, heart pounding, and texted her a shaky breakup message. It took months to shake the what-ifs. The nights waking up gasping, imagining where that car was headed. I made it back to France eventually, through a legit agency this time, chasing residency and a fresh start, but that day still lingers. A calculated snare I barely escaped, a reminder of how close I came to disappearing. Back when I was in 6th grade, something happened that still haunts me. It started the week of Halloween, a time buzzing with excitement at school. I'd stay late after class, helping deck out a haunted house for the Halloween carnival. The air smelled of glue and fake cobwebs, and my friends and I would linger, laughing over pizza as a reward for our efforts. Among us was this kid I'll call Chris. He was funny, easygoing, a cool guy, or so I thought. We got along fine those afternoons, tossing jokes back and forth, and I never once felt a flicker of unease around him. He was just there. 2 weeks later, everything changed. A gaggle of girls from my grade cornered me at recess, their eyes wide with giggles and secrets. "You've got a secret admirer," they squealed. "He's texting you tonight." My stomach fluttered, part curiosity, part thrill. Who could it be? That night, as I curled up in bed, my phone pinged. It was a messenger notification, the only app I used to chat with my parents when I was home alone. The message was from Chris. I'd forgotten I'd even added him on Facebook back on Halloween. "Maya, I need to talk to you," it read. My heart sank a little, worried something was wrong. "Yeah, what's up? Everything okay?" I typed back, clueless about the storm I just walked into. I wish I'd never hit send. After what felt like forever, 2 agonizing minutes of typing bubbles, he unloaded a sprawling confession. He said he was in love with me, that I'd been driving him crazy since Halloween. He rambled about trying to impress me at recess with his soccer tricks, how I never noticed, how he was tired of being invisible. "I want you to see me," he wrote. "So will you be my girlfriend?" I stared at the screen, cringing with every word. I barely knew him. We'd drifted apart ages ago, and now this? My fingers hovered, fumbling for a way to let him down gently. "I don't like you like that," I finally replied. "I just want to be friends." His response came fast, sharp, and needy. "Why not?" Over and over, he demanded reasons until I ran out of excuses, and he went silent. I thought that was the end. The next morning turned into a nightmare. His friends swarmed me, smirking, saying Chris wanted to kiss me, that he'd told the whole grade he'd do it, even if he had to corner me. Their words felt like a threat creeping under my skin. I ran to my teacher, voice shaking, and she told me to stay inside during recess and lunch. "If he gets close, come straight back to class," she said. It wasn't enough. I marched to the principal, who promised to handle it, and for a moment, I breathed easier. But then came the real terror. I lived right across from school. Everyone knew that, including Chris, and it didn't take long for him to show up. One afternoon, I'd barely been home 2 minutes when a knock rattled the front door. I peeked out the window and caught a shadow ducking behind a parked car. My pulse raced. It had to be him. My mom opened the door to find a note on the ground, addressed to me. I read it aloud, voice trembling. "There's a surprise under the Cadillac in your driveway." My mom checked. Nothing was there, but soon after my brother's car mysteriously broke down. We never proved it was Chris, but the timing gnawed at me. And it didn't stop there. His friends hounded me daily, whispering that I should give him a chance, that he'd treat me right. Then one day, walking home, I heard the faint click of an iPhone camera behind me. I spun around. There was Chris, snapping a picture. Who knows how many he'd taken. Every morning, my phone buzzed with his messages. Can't wait to see you at school. Or, I bet you'll look beautiful today. It was suffocating. I couldn't take it anymore. When the harassment got worse, I begged the counselor for help, expecting her to say Chris would be punished, or at least that someone would step in. Instead, she leaned back and smiled. "Boys will be boys," she said. "They do crazy things when they're in love. You should feel flattered. This is just part of growing up." I sat there, stunned, believing her at the time because I didn't know better. Looking back, it's sickening. Telling a scared 6th grader that stalking was a compliment? My mom didn't see it that way. When I told her, she stormed into the principal's office with me, her voice sharp as a blade. "What are you waiting for?" Something bad to happen to her. The counselor and principal just stared, silent, as she threatened to pull me out if they didn't act. But they never did punish him. He got away with it all. The worst came one weekend night. My parents were out shopping, and I was alone, winding down with a YouTube video on my iPad. A thud hit my second-floor window, too loud to be a bird. I froze, listening. Then it came again and again, a steady rhythm of something striking the glass. My heart pounded as I crept to the window, peeling back the curtain. Down below, Chris stood in the dark, clutching a fistful of rocks, staring up at me. He was about to throw another when our eyes locked. I stumbled back, racing to check every lock in the house, my breath shallow and ragged. When I returned, my phone glowed with 4 messages from him. "Why'd you leave?" "I just want to talk." "I'm sorry. All I wanted was a kiss. Please forgive me." Then, "You're not who I thought you were. Bye." I blocked him, hands trembling, and prayed that was the end. It wasn't the last I saw of him. I had to face him through middle school, high school, all the way to senior year, always on edge. The last I heard, he'd been arrested, though God only knows why. But the scariest part? It's not just him. It's that a counselor thought it was fine to tell me, a kid terrified for her safety, that this was normal, that I should learn from it. That betrayal cut deeper than anything Chris did. I hope she's nowhere near kids anymore, and I pray I never cross paths with him again.